But we're beginning in Washington today because we are expecting President-elect Joe Biden to lay out his plan to speed up the vaccination process as we continue to see a slower than expected rollout on that front. The CDC reporting 29 million vaccine doses have been distributed nationwide, but just 10 million Americans have received the first dose so far. Our very own Anjalee Khemlani tracking that story for us today. And Anjalee, a lot of questions around how the president-elect is going to ramp up the speed of the vaccinations as well as productions at a time when we are seeing some grim numbers across the board in this pandemic.
That's correct, Akiko. Let's start off with that. Yesterday being a record for single day deaths at 4,400. We've never seen that number before. And it seems like in the past couple of days, we've seen that ramp up to reach that height. And it comes off of, as we saw the prior weeks where we saw record daily cases. And of course, we know from earlier in the pandemic, the lesson is that once you see that rise in cases, you will also see that rise in deaths to follow. So it is tracking in accordance with what we saw. But meanwhile, we know that vaccinations are underway. 30% of vaccines that have been shipped have already been administered. Meanwhile, the federal government, through Operation Warp Speed, continues to ship out more doses, as well as we heard recently expand the priority groups and those who will be able to get them. We also know that mass vaccination campaigns are underway, either being built out or already ready to start in stadiums, in large buildings across the country. And it's likely we'll see more of that as the priority groups go down into the general population. Meanwhile, we also heard about Johnson & Johnson's vaccine, which we know from Operation Warp Speed officials is likely to get an EUA within the next month, actually. And that single-dose vaccine has a lot of hope into it because it would solve the problem of this burdensome rollout of not just the cold storage issues, but also the idea of trying to track down and make sure that individuals follow through for that second dose. In earlier stage trials, the data just came out showing that it was about as effective as the mRNA vaccine, but we're waiting for that phase 3 data for that really large group study to show the details. Akiko and Zach.
Yeah, a lot of people looking to that. We had a guest on earlier who said that's going to be a big game changer because it is much more simple in terms of the logistics of that vaccine. Anjalee Khemlani, thanks so much for that.